Hi people, how are you guys doing? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. This is Sandra here and I am back again with another video. You guys know how we do it. Anyway, so today's video is titled Yay! Meghan Markle has a new podcast. Actually, this video was put out 3 months ago, but I didn't know about her podcast. But she made a recent visit to Africa, which has been trending. Hence the reason why, um, some of her videos that had been trending started coming out. Like on my tail. So I was like, she had a podcast, and because the last time I remember, she and her husband actually were wanting to be really private about their lives and their story and all of that. So seeing that she had a podcast was kind of like contradictory to like what I know. So I'm like, I have to get into this. So basically, it's gonna be my first time getting into this video. I think we're gonna be talking about like a podcast and stuff like that. Anyways, if this is your first time coming on here, you are highly welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Up on this channel, we'll bring to you commentaries and just the latest reactions to amazing controversial videos that you would ever see on the internet. Okay, so with this being said, if you know that this is something that you're interested in, please just stick around from the very start to the very end and let's just get right into the video because I'm so curious. Okay, so I'm ready and let's just go ahead and hit the play button.
Happy vibes. Who do we get them from? Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Yep, her and Prince Harry have landed a new podcast deal after parting ways with Spotify. And that is amazing because Spotify lost so much money on them. And you remember one of the executives came out and said they quite literally have no talent. But worse than that, they don't want to work. Never, ever in the history of the world has there been a couple that has grifted as hard and as successfully as they have, right? You just grifted off of your family, haven't really done anything since. You keep getting awards. You keep getting these deals. I don't understand it. And the brand that they keep going into is this idea that Meghan is a feminist. She's a true feminist, and that's why she's being awarded by Gloria Steinem. She's just a brave woman. And yeah, I don't understand why her podcast, her original one, didn't take off. I've listened to it. I definitely would want to listen to this every single day of my life if there were more episodes. Let's just take it back to her old podcast that was on Spotify called Archetypes.
When I was 14, I planned my wedding. Not my actual wedding. That would have been a bit harder to imagine. This wedding was an assignment for my Religion 2 class in Catholic school. At no point could you say, nope, my dream for the future is to be single. The message, even at my feminist all-girls school, was as traditional as it gets. First comes love, then comes marriage.
It was stunning, brave. I don't know what that podcast executive was talking about. She's amazing. I love her, which is why it makes perfect sense that another company has approached her. She has landed a new deal. This is obviously less than a year after Spotify said, no, we're good. You are losing us money. Well, Spotify, that's kind of your fault because it's pretty obvious that these two are only good at selling their family throwing their family under the bus. And Meghan has released a statement about this new partnership. It is with Lemonada, and they're going to stream Archetypes. Yeah, they're going to handle all of the ad sales and the distribution. And remember, she had tons of people on to talk about this feminism. She had Mariah Carey, Mindy Kaling, and now they're going to take this on. Meghan released this statement. I am proud to now be able to share that I am joining the brilliant team at Lemonada to continue my love of podcasting. Being able to support a female-founded company with a roster of thought-provoking and highly entertaining podcasts is a fantastic way to kick off 2024. Our plan to re-release Archetypes so that more people can now have access to it, as well as launching a dynamic new podcast, are well in the works. I'm so eager to be able to share it soon, and I'm overjoyed to be joining the Lemonada family. Yes, she's not even going to do any work in the beginning. They're just going to re-release what she already did, and then I'm sure she's eager to do more, but the financial terms of the deal were obviously not disclosed. Lemonada probably just wants to get their name on the map. They're taking a chance, and I'm going to guess it's not going to pan out that well because people want to listen to something that sounds real. They don't want to be lectured about feminism. They don't want to be lectured about what they're doing wrong. They don't want to be told the patriarchy is all around them. And, oh, yes, remember when you were in high school and people were like, get married? Yeah, I do remember. It's an aspirational goal. Yes, getting married and starting a family is aspirational. Stop trying to convince us to do the opposite when you did exactly that. You got married, found yourself a prince, and pimped your way into Hollywood, which is where you always wanted to be. But let me stop. Well, we'll cover this, obviously, extensively when her new podcast, that she's probably not going to do, it hits the market. So I'm really proud of Americans. It seems like a lot of us are waking up to the understanding that our mainstream media is just possessed with propaganda. They're just state media. That's the way to think of it. This is the CIA elects them into these positions of power behind the scenes, and their job is to condition the way that we as Americans think. And this clip, by the way, which is making the rounds, I have to show you what I'm speaking about. It is just so gross in terms of the adoration, the fawning over Zelensky, when quite literally they were just trying to convince us to be totally chill with getting to work and sending more and more billions, trying to make you think he was a hero fighting for democracy. Yeah, this is CNN's Erin Burnett. She has an opportunity to sit down with Zelensky and ask him questions. And here's what she was concerned with. Take a listen.
As a human being, so many people look up to you. They rely on you. No one can imagine how hard that is. Do you do anything for yourself? Are you ever able to take a minute to read or to listen to music or something to sort of give yourself that a moment?
I have such moments, important, to be in silence, to be alone. Alone, how can I be alone? Alone, I can be with music.
What music do you like?
Oh, I like AC/DC and Ukrainian music. Yeah. Of course, I like Ukrainian music a lot because Ukrainian, that's native language. That's why you understand not only music, you understand the words and etc. AC/DC, I don't understand all the words because of. But
you like the music.
It's just incredible. It's like she's quite literally trying to date him. So many people rely on you. Like, what kind of music do you listen to? And how do you find time for you? Could you imagine if when Tucker was interviewing Putin, he asked any of those questions? Like, so many people rely on you, Mr. Putin. What kind of music do you listen to? It's just such a joke, and it's so obvious. And to be clear, that interview was from last year, July 2023. But I'm showing it to you now because it seems that since then, there has been this mass awakening. There's a lot of corruption happening in Ukraine, and those of us who have had the courage to talk about it and expose it, and people say, why is it relevant? Because we're sending you money. I'm already aware that Putin is corrupt. We're not sending him billions of dollars, all right? There is, as I believe it and the way that I see it, a mass execution of Christians that are happening in Ukraine. Christians should be upset about this. We should be asking questions. It seems like they're just clearing out the region under the guise of fighting an unwinnable war with Russia. There is something that I have said is giving me Bolshevik vibes. Go back and watch our episode talking about what the Bolshevik Revolution was. There's something about Zelensky that is not sitting right with me because we control him. And it seems to me that there is an ethnic cleansing that has taken place. But lo and behold, you guys, a network that claims to be independent, which obviously it's not independent. If you're allowed to be in Ukraine and be reporting any types of news, it's because you are operated by the state. They're shutting down churches. Zelensky has put his opponents in house arrest, right? Saying, you're not even going to compete with me. He suspended election. It's giving dictator. It's giving psychopath. We should not be funding this psychopath. But Vox, claiming to be completely independent, decided to release what is being referred to as a network of pro-Russian, disinformation in the West. And they've released 26 individuals. It's really stunning. Just to give you some honorable mentions here, Tucker Carlson, of course, because he went over and talked to Putin. That means automatically he's engaged in disinformation because you should not be allowed to hear from the other person in this war. You're not smart enough, ladies and gentlemen. Only Erin Burnett is smart enough to interpret the news for you. John Mearsheimer, shocking that he's made that list. You've got Jimmy Dore on this list. You've got Russell Brand on this list, which is just so confusing to me. Like, Russell Brand is so much peace and love. He's so happy, but they put him on this list because basically, if you are not accepting their narrative, then you should be on the list, which is why I am offended. I'm offended. I said on this show, right when the war broke out, that if there was one person that I could punch in the face and get away with, it would be President Zelensky. And I have held to that firmly. They circulated that clip. They wrote news articles. Candace says she would punch Zelensky in the face. Yeah, right. I just right in the face a couple of times, jab him. That's what I would do. And yet they did not put me on this list. Ridiculous, really. because these obviously are the individuals that are engaged in disinformation. Now, lo and behold, if you look at the news today, it's wall-to-wall coverage about the fact that somebody that Putin imprisoned, his rival, Alexei Navalny, you may have heard about him. There were the allegations that he was poisoned when he was in the UK by the honchos of Vladimir Putin, and then they put him in prison up in Siberia. And it has been reported that he has died, that he collapsed while he was walking. And so there is obviously a lot of suspicion that this was something that was done that was barbaric and awful, and that they did this intentionally to kill him as a rival for speaking out against Vladimir Putin, which is not allowed in these sorts of regimes. And of course, that is awful and that is wrong and it deserves coverage. And we should be covering the corruption of Zelensky with just as much vigor. And they don't do that, right? They didn't even cover the fact that an American journalist was killed in the exact same fashion, put into a prison because he criticized, while he was in Ukraine, he criticized Zelensky and the Biden regime. And what did they do? They put him into prison and then he died mysteriously. Just weeks after his dad went on Tucker Carlson and said, they are going to kill my son. Please help. The mainstream media didn't cover this. They didn't care. Nope, they don't care because their narrative is to say that everything Zelensky does is good. Two things can be true at once. I know why people think it's always got to be a villain and a hero story. There can be multiple villains, but we are only funding one of those villains. And he is mass murdering Christians, taking them off of the street and sending them to the front lines to die in a war that he cannot win. Okay? And he is also, as I have said, I think, conditioning us to accept an ethnic cleansing in that region. President Zelensky is a monster. That is my point. Okay? And it doesn't mean that Vladimir Putin is good. Two things can be true at once. Hey guys, if you like this video, you will definitely like the full episode even better. You can find it by clicking right here.
Okay, people, so we did get into that, and I'm not gonna lie, that was spicier than I thought it would be. To be honest, it was spicier. It was well detailed. It was very straightforward, and she was very stern, as she always is. Now, one thing that actually took me away is Candace Owen. Like, I have been getting into her for a little over like a year now. And every of her videos where she's just stating her opinions, they always like it's always her demeanor that gets to me, because it's either like she knows how to compose herself, she knows how to have like the way she's meant to act, certainly, because here she's shading Zelensky, she's shading Megan, and she's not being shy about it. She's not trying to hide it. She's not trying to mince her words. Like she had like evidence. She had a paper. I think she was with her system. I'm not sure. Let me check. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. She was with her laptop. So she researched these things and she's like, I need to come out here and talk about this. Because honestly, when I did see this title, like Megan had a podcast, as I said earlier, I didn't know about it. Like the last time I actually was on their case was when they came to have like the conference talking about how like the royal family, treated them and all of that, right? That was actually the last time. And I know that around that time, they were asking for privacy and just they wanted people to be out of their business, right? And I was saying that she single-handedly came to open a podcast. Because what else is she going to be talking about in a podcast? Like, what does she? Because last I heard, she's no longer acting. So what would she be talking about in the podcast if it doesn't have to do about their lives or things surrounding like the royal family, which they said to disassociate themselves from? So it's actually very contradictory, and I'm just like, so I actually do appreciate videos from Candace Owen, because she really just points you in directions that you could miss in like certain situations. Like, you could just watch a video or just see people do things and see people's actions, and you just don't read so much into it. But Candace, like she said about the interview where she's like she was trying to date him, that was because when I did watch that, I was focusing more on Zelensky, just wanting to see and hear what he had to say about the questions being asked. I really didn't pay so much attention to the lady, and then Candace actually pointed my mind to that direction. I'm like, yo. This lady is so shady. Like, she just knows how to, like, she actually has my love. I just really love the way she composes herself and the way she gives her piece. Like, she says, she's like, I have something to say, and she's gonna say it regardless. Like, she really doesn't care about, conflicting opinions or people who would come for her because of, like, maybe they don't like what she's saying and stuff. That is the kind of person I aim to be someday. But anyways, we did get into this. As I already stated, it was definitely spicier than I expected it to be, but certainly an eye opener and an interesting one as well. But yeah, I said we've come to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I would really appreciate if you can put down like your thoughts, your comments, and all of that stuff, regardless of if you are, just opposing to what she said. Basically, I'm really gonna appreciate if you guys to engage me down in the comment box. And upon to the very next one, hopefully we do come here and we get to get into the spicy videos again. But upon to the very next one, people, let us keep on staying safe and healthy. So bye.